Welcome to Total Disclosure across all platforms, where we explore the mysteries of the unknown. From sightings to conspiracy theories, we dive deep into the unexplained occurrences in our skies and on the ground. If you're passionate about exploring the unknown and you're intrigued about the possibility of extraterrestrial life, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button, share with your friends and family, and smash the subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest videos. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, remember to leave 5 stars as well as a written review if possible. It truly helps us, and it's free. It takes 20 seconds, and it helps us garner a wider audience to keep on delivering the best content possible. Now, today we have a little bit of an unorthodox show. I know why everybody's here. We are here to talk and see the Captain Robert Salas brief Nancy Mace. Now, Steve Bassett was there with me. I had got this meeting after the UAP hearings. I almost forgot my headphones. Now, I had lined up a couple interviews when I went out for the UAP hearings after being invited by Congressman Burchett. And when I got there, a couple days before I got there, actually, I had talked with a couple people and decided that I'd put my ego aside. And instead of asking Nancy Mace questions about the UAP hearing, I would bring Captain Robert Salas, who had an incident 50 years ago in 1967 at Malmstrom Air Force Base, and where UFO shut down 10 nuclear weapons. And these weapons are analog; they're not connected to each other. So if one goes down, they do not all go down. However, in this case, they were all rendered, at least for the time being, inoperable. Now, the following clip is of that closed door meeting. It is our goal and our hopeful, inevitable future to get Captain Robert Salas to testify in front of Congress. So people ask me why I did it, why it's important. It's important because these are the stories that if a congressperson hears that a UFO or a craft of some kind that is not human made was able to shut down our most aggressive, our most powerful weapons, then the implications of it and everything surrounding it, if it doesn't make your stomach churn after hearing Robert Salas's testimony, then you probably shouldn't be in Congress or the Senate or any government position for that matter. So I am going to be joined today by my friend Bryce, who I met at the UAP hearing. Hi, Bryce.
Hi, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me on here, man. You know, I'm passionate about the topic, and this is just over the moon for me.
Yeah, and I told you I'd have you on. So after the clip, you and I will kind of break down some stuff, talk about our experience at the hearing. But I did want to just get you in here and say hi, say hello to everybody before we got started. It's a 20-minute video, which I will release separately from this video, so that it'll be out there in the ether separately. But are you ready?
Absolutely, man. Let's get into it.
All right, and again, this is a really, 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 if this is, one of the small things that, I can do for the UFO community and the disclosure effort is facilitate these types of conversations, then I'm happy. I found my place. Did you find yours? And I'm going to keep asking that to the audience because I think more people in the UFO community, I think you need to find your place and what you can help, what you can do to get the ball moving forward instead of just being on X all day.
Really?
Right.
Yes, they told me don't worry about your.
No, I'm going to start it over.
No, my staff will. If I ask them about it, they're really. I have a great team. I have a great team here. But I just had, elections were a week ago, and they took a week off to come down and help. And
say anything I wanted.
Say anything you want.
And so I just give them a straight answer. Be like, hey, fantastic.
No, I live in a purple district, so
Get everything rolling. Just want you guys to be prepared.
I gave her the basic brief, Bob.
yes, I got a basic brief.
Okay, great. I want you to know that I gave a presentation to Arrow in February of 2023.
Really? Okay.
And they also exonerated me, if that's the right word, from my NDA, which I had signed.
Really?
Yes, they told me, don't worry about your NDA, just tell us what you know. So, and I got a letter from them stating that my story that I gave them is now an official record, historical record in the Aero archives. So I don't know if you can get access to that, but it's...
Was it in the report at all that they put together this year?
No.
So it's a big thing that they left out.
Oh yeah,
Big thing they left out.
Okay, so it's truly just, that report can be totally discounted.
it's crap.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, my last question to them after I gave my presentation was, are you going to check with the Air Force to verify any part of my story? And they said no. Because they had tried to verify a previous account that was Robert Jacobs. I don't know if you're familiar with that story. He was stationed at Vandenberg Air Force Base with a very advanced camera, video camera. And he shot a video of a test flight of a dummy warhead. It was on an Atlas missile on the Pacific Test Range. And so the dummy warhead leaves the final stage and is flying towards its so-called target in the test area. And the UFO comes over and fires laser lights
Really?
at this dummy warhead. In fact, it flew a circle around this warhead that was going about.
And he got video of this?
He's got video of it.
Really?
It was
Is
confiscated.
it in the public?
It was
No.
confiscated by the CIA.
I mean,
But this is actual video. And his commander saw it. They both saw it together in front of these members of the CIA. And right after that, they took the film, and who knows where it is now.
well, they also told him this never happened. You'll never speak of this.
Right.
Did he sign a document? Was he forced to sign a
No,
document?
he did not sign a document.
And he's come forward. He's come forward.
Okay.
He's one of the affidavits you have.
Okay.
He's available, by the way,
Okay.
to be a witness.
Okay.
So I wanted you to know that I have spoken to Errol. I have also...
And it left it out of the report. Is anyone like surprised here? Like,
No.
the federal government, it never ceases to amaze me what they do. Like the
Right.
disinformation, the propaganda, the misinformation, just completely,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
left it out.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit their narrative.
But I've got all that documentation. If you want any of it, I'd be happy to provide it to you. Plus, I've got a complete recording of my interview with Errol. And I told them I was going to record it. They did not object.
Really?
I was not under any kind of, don't say anything to anybody about this, or nothing like that. I didn't testify.
You're happy about
in a
life, you're a
skiff.
good driver, you're happy and yeah.
Bob, how many right now?
I can't believe you did that. That's pretty amazing.
Well,
And
I
you
wanted to
recorded the
do it.
conversation.
I wanted to have a record, yeah.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I mean, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But now he needs to do the same thing before Congress. How many nuclear weapons tampering witnesses do
Okay.
you have access to that could testify?
Okay, in September of 1966, there was a similar incident to mine at Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota. The witness was Dave Schindele, and he's still alive. I spoke to him last week. We had breakfast, and he's more than willing to testify. Yeah.
And what year was yours?
Mine was 67.
Okay.
There was another one in 67, just 8 days earlier. So within the span of 6 months.
At the same location or a different location?
Different location. Different location. That witness is still alive also. His name is Colonel Walter Fiegel. And he, as far as I know, he's still alive and well.
Bob Jacobs is alive, so we're up to 4.
Bob Jacobs is alive and well. All of us could testify. Let's see. So at any rate, within a span of 6 months, UFOs disabled 30 30 nuclear missiles in our inventory within 6 months. And we've got the witnesses to show it. I've got documentation. I provide.
How did you find the witnesses? How did you stumble upon them or find them?
They found me, really.
Because you told your story.
I told my story publicly
out to
first
you.
in 1994, 96. I went on the Art Bell show. I don't know if you ever heard of Art Bell.
Coast to coast.
Coast to coast. But
I was dropping out of high school during that time, so I was waiting tables at a
You had
Waffle
other things
House.
to think
I was
about.
focused on other
like the
things.
prom dress.
He was big.
I never went to prom.
Oh, you
No,
didn't?
I dropped
Oh,
out.
no.
Yeah.
The opposite.
Okay, and so as a result of that interview that I gave in 1996, I received contacts by many supporting witnesses, including Robert Jameson, still alive as far as I know, who can validate the fact that all 10 of my missiles went down.
And you verified these were all active duty service with their DD-214s,
Yes.
all that.
We've all got DD-214s, we've got affidavits. I think Steve provided them.
They're floating around here somewhere.
They're here somewhere apparently, and we'll ask my staff.
But there's a whole nother set of witnesses that we don't have access to, but they're out there. And these are the service guys. These weren't officers. They were up top. These are the ones that saw the UAP, and they're running around like crazy pointing guns at them. And as soon as that event was over, they signed these guys, what, all over the world, just made it disperse?
A lot of them to Vietnam because they were all weapons trained, and they wanted to disperse them. And that's how the Air Force operates. Anytime an incident like this happens, they try to disperse people, send them off.
And they were
different places.
younger, they had families, and so they didn't come forward.
So they don't talk to each other.
But they might now if the word got out. They, for a reason.
Yeah.
Can you tell Nancy the feeling that you got when the nukes went down, when they went into no-go? What message did that send to you once you had compiled the evidence of what happened?
Okay, again, that's two questions. First is
How did
feeling.
you feel when it happened? What went
I
through your
felt
mind?
Immediately like we were under attack because the second call from my security guard upstairs, he was screaming into the phone. He was very frightened. He was babbling. I couldn't make sense out of what he was saying. I had to calm him down. He had all the guards. He had 6 other guards up there. Their weapons were pointed at this object. Basically, I think he wanted me to tell him to go ahead and fire at this thing. I didn't say that. What I said was, make sure the facility is secure and nothing comes in. And it was really his job. His job was security. So if he wants to fire that thing, go right ahead.
Are those personnel still with us today?
Who knows?
They were younger, so probably.
They have not come to me.
Okay.
But if, it's very certain that they have immunity from any kind of an NDA or oath that they took, they might come forward. I know another gentleman who brought another Minuteman I missile back up on alert after it was shut down by this UFO. And again, that was the Echo flight incident that happened March 16th at Malmstrom Air Force Base. And what he did was he went down, we've got a little maintenance bay. He started going through his checklist of getting the missile back up on alert status. And lo and behold, a UFO, or this was an orange object, hovered right above him. And the guard upstairs asked him to come up and look at it. And he saw it right above him. And he told the guard to report it, but he had to come back and finish his job. So he started going through his checklist, and he'd get to a certain point in his checklist, and the missile was shut down. Well, he tried again. And I was going through a standard procedure checklist to get to that exact same point, the missile was shut down. While this object was still above him. He said he tried this many, many times. The same thing happened. And he felt they were demonstrating to him that they knew exactly how our systems worked. Exactly.
And then it
That makes
left,
sense.
So what was the
And that took
message?
off.
and he put the thing back on service.
Yeah, he got it back up on the, yeah.
So if there was a message that was being sent to the human race,
Yeah.
what was that?
So the message, I think, because these incidents have happened not only in the U.S. but overseas. In my latest book, I've outlined and told the stories of about 13 similar incidents that happened all over the world, including Russia. And in none of those incidents was any significant damage done to the weapon system. In our case, at Malmstrom, there was no equipment that was fried, nothing was damaged. It was simply an intermittent electrical pulse that was given to a particular part of the guidance system of the missile called the logic coupler. And this was proven by Boeing. Boeing did a bench test on this so-called logic coupler, which is part of the navigation or guidance system of the missile. Without that piece of equipment working properly, the navigation system and the guidance system would not properly work. So the missile shut itself down. That's all that happened.
Yeah,
There was no damage.
yeah,
The missiles were all brought up, back
Yeah.
up on alert within about 24 hours.
yeah.
So what's that?
And that, to me, that says they were sending us a message about nuclear weapons.
Why do you
But
have these?
what's the message?
And WTF, we have nuclear weapons. I'm sorry. Did I
Why?
say something wrong?
Have you
Drop-
seen me at
drop
a hearing yet?
And
Have you
this is Congresswoman Mace. That's good. You can do that.
Drop them to the bottom.
We
of
don't
the
use
ocean.
acronyms here, how about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. Of course, it's just my opinion. It's
By the
just
way,
speculation.
when you and Bob Hastings wrote the masterpiece book, UFOs and Nukes.
He wrote it.
Okay, all right. You helped obviously with it. Great. And so after that book, did some people contact you after the book came out? Because it got a substantial reading.
Yeah, Hastings' book was brought me Robert Jacobs. And there is no question about the fact that UFOs shut down all 10 of my missiles at Oscar flight on March 24th, 1967. Absolutely not. And the Echo flight was, again, we've got a couple of witnesses, the commander and deputy commander of Echo flight have confirmed the same story. UFOs were seen over the sites before their missiles shut down, all 10. Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I think
It was fascinating. I
So-
mean, truly, how big were the objects in the sky?
What's that?
How big were the,
40 or 50 feet, it was hard to tell because
was it at night?
there were bright lights at night. It was hard to see inside the light. The light was pulsating,
What color lights were they?
reddish orange is what I was told. Again, my ask, if I had to ask, was I think we could, all four of us at least, would welcome the opportunity to tell this in front of a congressional hearing. I think it needs to be public.
I think it's also the case that if in fact a congressional hearing was scheduled and it was known that they were very much interested in such people testifying, where it was really going to make a difference, I have a feeling a number of people we don't even know about with the credentials would turn up and say, in this case, I'm willing to come forward.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I'll follow up with my staff too, if you send information, find out, where it is, they can brief me on it. I've been traveling. We've been crazy the last 7 days, and this is our first week back, so it's super crazy with reorganizing the Congress and everything for the next session. But I'll follow up with my staff too to look at the documents and affidavits you provided. I am more fascinated and confused now than ever because there's just so much.
Welcome to our world.
Oh, I know. I'm now on Reddit, and there's, you know, UFO Twitter and, you know, all the, but they're reporters now. I didn't know of Schellenberger until this hearing, and now I'm studied up on, holy cow, he had multiple sources, you know, and then we talked about private contractors today and injuries that people, you know, have received based on a crash retrieval program we've been told doesn't exist. So it's just, you know, the math doesn't add up. They're hiding something from us. And so what all,
Absolutely.
and it's extensive. And how much are we spending on this? And so, and then who all is involved and how are they skirting the law, Title 10 and all those things. So it's been highly illuminating and educational for me.
We heard a rumor that there was an attempt to literally stop your hearing altogether.
We heard the rumor too.
Over Immaculate Constellation.
Yeah, we heard a rumor too. I don't know.
But you,
I was like, I'm holding the hearing no matter what, even
Yeah.
if it's like in my office.
Well, you
I was
weren't
like,
directly contacted about that.
no, I was not directly contacted, but we heard the rumor also.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so.
So, can I ask you just one thing?
Mhm.
With people like him and Bob Jacobs and those stories being out there,
Mhm.
what would be your next move to get people in front of a hearing? How
Well,
soon
doing what
can
you're
we do
doing
that?
right now, so sending the documents that you have to my office. I would send them to Burchett's office too, and to Comer's office. He's the chairman of oversight. I also sit on the House Armed Services Committee. So I think this is interesting. I don't know that the chairman of House Armed Services would ever have a hearing on this, but this is like definitely House Armed Services. I would love to do it over there if they would let me. Now, would they let me? I'm not a chairman over there, not yet. I could, you know, if I'm a subcommittee chairman, I can go to the big chairman and say, hey, I'd like to do this. Because I think it'd be, we've not had one on House Armed Services, and this is very military oriented. But always a backstop is oversight as well, depending upon what the chairman wants. And to do this hearing, I had to get permission from leadership. So I'll look through it, I'll sift through it with my staff and see if we can come up with a plan. I mean, I'm fascinated by it. I'm more fascinated now. I have more questions. I mean, I could have asked questions all night. I mean, I just had, every time someone would answer a question, I had more questions.
Right.
And, you know, so you have 5 minutes,
I mean,
which
the
is not a good way
implication-
I gave her
and what's
my
that?
part.
The implications of
The-
what he's saying,
Yeah.
even if it's a slight possibility that something is out there.
Well, even if it's our own technology that
Right.
we haven't identified, turning nukes on and off.
That would be a big
it's-
thing too.
It'd be huge. I
Right.
mean, either way, it's like a win-win. I love the idea of it. I'd have to talk with leadership and my committee staff, but it's something that I find you very credible. I look forward to reading what you guys have and putting it together and have my staff put together. It's very interesting. And I think today was a success.
Yes.
So I don't think it stops. If today was a total dud, it'd be over. I mean, if this went, no, but there's so much to unpack after today. I don't think people realize the amount of different information that was valuable. You got the documents about Immaculate Constellation entered into the record. We
Yeah.
talked about crash retrieval programs, reverse engineering, injuries that people have received at crash sites. So there's just this, I have to unpack it all because it was a lot. It was a lot of, I think, valuable insight. We even talked about which private contractors do submersibles versus doing aeronautics.
Yeah, I'm sure
with
that gave me a
UAPs.
headache.
Yeah, but I mean, like we actually named contractors. We didn't do that last time. So, you know, piecing it together is kind of like a patchwork quilt, and more people will come forward. So,
I'm going to email Sean the electronic
Send it to
file,
Sean.
as well as links to certain materials
That'd
that
be
might
great.
be helpful to you.
Yeah.
I'll get that out by tomorrow.
yeah, that'd be great. Nothing here happens fast, but
Nothing.
I would love to do ETs and nukes because I mean, it's valid. Whether it's our technology or something from out of this world, it's huge. And thank you for coming over and
My
introducing
pleasure.
yourself.
All right. Oh, we're disappeared.
There we go.
So again, now that is the closed door briefing that I was able to facilitate with Captain Robert Salas and UFO activist Steve Bassett with Nancy Mace, who chaired the hearing on November 13th that you and I both attended. How What did you think? Now that's part of that's going to be the final scene in the documentary that I'm making. And I'm some of the stuff at the end, I'm going to chop off and probably won't need, but that was in its entirety. Nothing taken out, nothing inserted, just clean cut. That was the interview.
Tyler, I think it's very, very encouraging. It's like Nancy said herself. If that hearing would have been a dud, probably would have moved on to that next phase where you got to film and have Bob tell his story.
Right.
I think she was very chock full of questions, like she said too, and the more we can get this, especially Bob's kind of story with like she said it herself, ETs and nukes, I think it's so captivating for even on the individual level to know just how much this hangs over our head without us knowing. That there's select few that truly know the state of affairs when it comes to our well-being, our national security, and how this whole other variable plays into that.
Right. And, I think something that I've always been a little bit concerned with is nuclear weapons and our teetering society, right? On the implications of these kind of weapons. We're talking about life ending and or holocausts, scenarios, if those things start flying. So, I think that as a congresswoman, right, she had literally, now, remember, not even 5 hours or 8 hours before that, she was in a hearing with Elizondo, Schellenberger. I always forget the NASA guy's name. Old. And then Timothy Goddett, the rear admiral. So that interview was at 8:00 at night, and we had been up since 4 a.m. that morning in line. So Bob at his as beautiful age of I think he's 87. I think he's 87. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but it's right around there. I mean, he was a trooper. He didn't waver for a second. And like, I'm not kidding you. He was there before me. I got there around like 4:13 a.m. He was already at the building waiting, and then we got in line. And that's obviously then when I got introduced to you. And then we went through the hearings. I brought some pictures. I know. So we got to meet Ron James there. This is me and Bob. While we were waiting outside in the cold, it was freezing. Then we were inside. There's Danny Sheehan doing some business. He's doing the business, but I did get to meet Hondo outside, which was radical. It was pretty cool. So you had your own experience, and you made your way over to the UFO hearings. I saw you there. What was it like to have that be your first experience with the UFO community? Because that's wild.
I would say it was, it was very refreshing and validating. Validating, I think, would be my key word, because, this is something you read about online. I've engaged with other people and talked about their sightings, my sightings online. And, it's nice to shoot text back and forth, but to see so many people come together and stand by their words. Some of these people for years and years and years, Tyler, with quite a reputation to them, quite the certificates, I mean,
Bob,
just outstanding character, like Bob.
Yeah, Bob. So on the thumbnail, I put something, and he said this to me, because I got the meeting with Nancy Mace for myself, because I was doing this little documentary about my trip to DC. It was only last second that I kind of shifted gears and put my ego aside for the greater good of disclosure, or the efforts of disclosure. And I don't want to sound like, oh, cool, like, I did something heroic, but I think it's important that we pay homage to the people that got us here, right? the people that like Danny Sheehan, like Steve Bassett, like Bob Salas, like Jacques Vallée, like Dr. Hynek, like John Mack. I mean, Stan Friedman. The list goes on and on and on. And we are standing on the shoulders of giants. And if I can make a little bit of a difference, even just a little bit, by introducing someone who's spent 50 years waiting to tell this story.
Yep.
50, that was a meeting 50 years in the making. All he wanted to do, and there's a moment in the video that you see it, all Bob, I think, really wanted to hear was someone in an official position say, Bob, I heard your story. You're credible. And I will take this further, you know? And that's what he got. And you can see it in that interview. This
Absolutely.
this smile, and you see 50 years of pain and
Pressure and
pressure, and it just kind of all washes away. And
frustration.
yeah,
Yeah.
frustration. And for me to be able to facilitate something like that for a man like him, who I look up to and have looked up to for I mean, God knows how many years now. That's a price I'll pay every day. Every
Yeah.
day.
And
Yeah.
and to
So
have him as a serviceman too, be validated. I know a lot of servicemen have to deal and live with, and they even went into that, how they get broken up after a sighting,
right.
so they can't speak amongst it to each other. I think that's horrific. I think that truly probably alters and is detrimental to the state of our servicemen, their mental state, on top of everything they already deal with.
Yeah, and I thank you. It's nice to see you. But
Oh, I know.
yeah, I hope everything's going good. But I there are people like Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, that they also do this kind of thing, and they're very involved in Congress. And I know that there's with the Immaculate Constellation thing, there's been a little bit of a hiccup, and there's been a little bit of discourse in the community, and I don't really want to touch it yet,
Fair.
because I don't think that's what we should be doing. But I will say that I did get to meet Jeremy that day, and for the first time. I've talked to him a couple times privately, but this time I got to meet him because how I got let in a half hour early.
Yeah.
So we had the room to ourselves. It was anyone who was press, and Corbell was standing there, and I saw the opportunity, and I just kind of walked over and said, thank you, and for all that he's done for the community, because he has done a lot.
Yes,
And
he has.
I have my differences with Corbell. I have my differences with Elizondo. God knows I have my differences with Elizondo. But I still took a picture with them. I still shook his hand and said, thank you for your service. Like, sometimes we need to be able to disagree with people and to be able to move on, but to have the conversation.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful branching point to where I wanted to go with this. I think the most uplifting part of that day was the bipartisan push. After going through such a tedious and aggressive political environment for so many years now, it seems like my whole life at this point, to hear just one topic be discussed from both sides of the aisle with passion and respect was just
right. Look at what's happening this week. Like, sadly, Representative Nancy Mace and Alexandra, or I'm sorry, AOC. I just call her AOC. Alexandria Cortez. I can't do the O.
yeah.
They're fighting over the trans bathroom issue, right?
Yeah.
But
it's a little disheartening.
but they can be in a room and talk about UAPs together, no problem.
Right. And Bob's story in conjunction with, I think, a desire for both aisles to want to work on bipartisanship and try to find routes to make that the norm again. You put those two things in conjunction, I think we have a bright future on the topic and amongst our congressional members.
Yeah. So, what did you think of what you heard in from the testimony? Because, or what was your overall summation? Because I'm going to play a clip. It's Nancy. This is also from the documentary I'm making, but it's a clip from of Nancy Mace and her 5 minutes at I believe it was the end of the hearing, or the first part. I can't remember, but what was your summation of what was spoken about? Do you think that the hearing moved the ball forward in any way? And like I said, what was it like in the room that you were in?
I was in the overflow room. I mean, it was consistent clapping, cheering. You know, you could tell people had come with the passion. And you know what got brought up a lot, and I think your average Joe will speak to this, whether you believe it or not, is the government hides a lot from us. They have a lot of money going to places we will probably never ever know of, and that's just simply not right. So for credible people to come out and try to push the bill further, saying, well, this is where some of your money's going, I think we can all agree that that's worth looking into.
Well, it's funny
Yeah.
because not even 4 days later, the Pentagon failed another audit.
Yep. Right.
Another audit. They've never passed an audit.
It's almost comical, Tyler, how much
It's-
these things just play hand in hand.
And so say you or me, we were a billionaire, and we were audited, and we couldn't pass our audit. We would be facing jail time or serious fines and charges, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But the government is just like, sorry guys, we'll try again next year. Hopefully we'll get it right, right?
Yeah. It's
Slap me on the wrist.
It's insincere, it's goofy, and it's not, what I want from the people that at the end of the day we vote in and pay our money to. It's simply not right. Now, when you take it to something like the NHI topic, the UAP topic, and we branch out into what are the implications of this for our state, what we are, the human condition, what could this mean for possible energy sources, transportation, medical care in the future? I think when it all starts to come together, that these potentially beautiful advances in technology are right on the other side of whoever's gatekeeping this. I think that's the major push that needs to happen, is that there is just a plethora of a new world on the other side. I don't think anyone has the right to gatekeep that from the American people or humanity in a total.
And what Eric says here is absolutely true. Eric, by the way, plays a huge role. Eric actually was critical in getting that Nancy Mace interview greenlit. So thank you, Eric. And thank you for all you do for me. He's such a great guy. But he says it's important for older generations to hear this in that kind of setting. So and that does make sense, because the fact that guys like my dad, they just think this topic is such bullshit. And until the most powerful people are literally saying we're not alone, he's not going to believe it. He's just simply not. Right. And for him, these go a long way. They go, I point to these hearings, and, he doesn't really have a comeback for it. Aside from the government's corrupt, and it's okay, cool. Back at square zero.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm in my immediate circle. I've seen it crack open the first hearing, and by far the second one. I mean, any of my friends or coworkers that were on the sidelines, they have some sort of investment into it now. They're definitely thinking about it.
Yeah. And
right.
Joshua says that, so this is absolutely true. So some of the things that you didn't get to see in the Robert Salas interview, because I was not recording, because I could not be recording, was the when he went into the event. Now, we were submitting paperwork to her, affidavits, other information as well, so that we couldn't record that part. But Steve Bassett, that's where he came in. So that's why I didn't just bring Robert in. I brought both of them in, because Robert has the story, right? but Steve has that expertise, and he's got that, he's an UFO activist. He knows Capitol Hill, and he knew what he was doing. So for me to bring those guys in there, that was, I thought, because one thing that Bob didn't say, and you don't hear him say, is, okay, we'll say that in a closed door briefing, or I can't tell you that, right?
Right.
No, we gave names, dates, we gave testimony, we gave everything. We threw the kitchen sink at this, and now we're being reached out to by other members of Congress and potential senators, and future high-ranking officials in the next administration are asking to hear Bob's story. So, you know what I mean? That, for me, that this is big.
It's a beautiful segue into the topic for people, especially people that don't believe in the topic on
That's
Capitol Hill. You bring it to them in such a way. I mean, it's almost undeniable to listen to.
If I told you that 10 nukes were shut down by an unknown object, and you had any stake in, national security, if you did not respond with "tell me more," you shouldn't be in that job, right?
Yeah.
So that's my position, and that's why I did what I did. Now, I'm going to bring up this clip. It's quick 5-minute ones. It's just a it kind of refreshes the Mace questioning with the witnesses on November 13th.
I will now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. I have a lot of questions and I have a lot of witnesses. So I would just ask, if it's yes or no, to please just tell me yes or no. If it requires more than that, be very succinct, because I would like to go down the line and ask as many questions as possible. So for the Admiral this morning first, former DOD official Chris Mellon reached out to you about satellite imagery from 2017 that depicts a UAP. What were the dates in 2017 when this occurred?
I can't share with you the details, ma'am, but I can do it in a closed setting, and I can also tell you.
See, this is what we didn't
that
do.
wrote a report on it.
Okay, so who has the imagery?
I can tell you that in a closed setting.
Can you describe what was depicted in the satellite imagery? Just a description.
It was a UAP, ma'am.
That's it? No other description?
The term that the analysts use, they call it the button. It was a disc-shaped object.
Okay, where was it?
I can't tell you that, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Elizondo, you state in your testimony that, quote, advanced technologies not by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe, end quote. If these technologies are not made by any government, who's making them? Private companies, or are you implying they are crafted by a non-human intelligence?
Well, ma'am, that's precisely why we're here. The problem is that, temporally speaking, over decades, not just the last 10 years, to put this in perspective,
Are these private companies you're implying, or is this non-human intelligence?
It may be both.
Okay.
When it comes to Blue Force Technologies, I would not be able to discuss
Okay.
that.
Are you read into secret UAP crash retrieval programs?
We would have to have a conversation in a closed session, ma'am. I signed documentation 3 years ago that restricts my ability to discuss specifically crash retrievals. I submitted for my book through the DOPSR process, which took a year for it to be reviewed. And what is in the book is what I was told I'm allowed to talk about.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, were they designed to identify and reverse engineer alien craft, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Does the U.S. government have any reverse, okay, we already answered that question about retrieval programs. Do any U.S. contractors have the same?
I would prefer to address that in a closed session, ma'am.
Okay. In your book, you mentioned government employees who've been injured by UAPs, placed on leave, and receiving government compensation for their injuries. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How can the government deny we have recovered craft if they're paying people because they've been injured by recovered craft?
Ma'am, that's a great question. That's why I think we're here again, because I've seen the documentation by the U.S. government for several of these individuals who have sustained injuries as a result of a UAP incident.
It's a crazy idea, right? The hypocrisy and the logic. Okay, Mr. Schellenberger, I'm going to say it again to be very clear. Immaculate Constellation.
I love it.
What's its mission and how are they funded?
She is a
Its
Spitfire, by
mission
the way.
is to, as I stated, its mission
It's
is to
nail on the head over and over.
It's an unacknowledged special access program. Its mission is to document UAPs.
Okay, and do you, for your story and your report, do you have more than one credible source?
I do.
Sourcing, okay.
I do.
And then why do you believe your sources to be credible? How do you judge the veracity of the documentation you've been provided about this program?
I checked the sources, and they are who they say they are. They are current or former government officials.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to also add that I did not specify that they were Defense Department employees. I didn't specify the agency nor the gender.
Would they have included non-government employees, people that aren't employed by the government?
These are, I'm comfortable saying that these are government or previously government employees.
Any of them currently employed by a private contractor or private contractors?
I'd rather not say.
Okay. What's the key takeaway, just a few seconds, about the Immaculate Constellation document you provided us today?
I think that what the American people need to know is that the U.S. military and intelligence community are sitting on a huge amount of visual and other information, still photos, video photos, other sensor information, and they have for a very long time. And it's not those fuzzy photos and videos that we've been given. There's very clear
High
images,
res.
high resolution.
How many visuals, graphics, videos, photos?
I mean, I've been told hundreds, maybe thousands. I mean, I also wanted to say, because there was some conversation around concern around the revealing of these materials, revealing the source collections, but some of these are shot from helicopters using normal videos of oceans. I just think that's absurd that somehow you're going to be revealing some secret U.S. technology by revealing that you've photographed orbs off the coast of Kuwait.
Okay, thank you. I have 8 seconds. Mr. Gold, did the NASA Independent Study Team get briefed on what you call OSAP? Very quickly.
I flagged the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Classification Program to our chair and our DFO. We did not get briefed, but I believe it is definitely worth looking into. That was probably the largest UAP review effort ever, and I think produced a lot of interest data, including revealing Nimitz. I don't know if my fellow witness Lou might want to, he did yeoman's work on it, might want to comment.
Yeah. So anyway,
I've watched it 5 times now. It's still just as crazy to hear it, man.
yeah. So, and I wanted to bring that clip up, especially because I think it demonstrates, like you said, the veracity of Nancy and her real desire to get to the bottom of this, come hell or high water. And I truly do think that, in this situation, we stop seeing red, blue, or parties, and we need to see the future of the human civilization and protecting it at all costs, because life is precious. And, if just our solar system is proof of that, right? Out of eight planets, 7 planets, 9 planets, one, we know sustains intelligent life that, or has the capacity to do so, in the form that we've taken. So life is precious, and we need to do whatever it is to keep these discussions happening at these high levels, especially when things are looking like they are. Like we talked about it before recording, but Russia just used an intercontinental ballistic missile in a war zone.
First time ever.
Which is the first time ever.
To be used in conflict, yeah.
Yeah, and dude, that shit keeps me up at night.
Keeps me up, man.
And we're being, pigeonholed here, and kind of just stuck in the middle of this fight that has been happening between the U.S. and other nuclear powers, and it just seems that whether it's the Zimbabwe case for the Ariel school, or a countless other abduction events, where the people who encountered these beings come back. And by the way, this includes Bob. People don't realize this.
That he had experiences after.
Yes. Yep. This is not just his story about being at Malmstrom that day.
Right.
It went further. So so many people have gotten this message of nuclear weapons are going to be the destruction of your species. If you're not careful, you're playing with fire. And for me, that is the moral of the story. That's the moral of Bob's story, of Bob Jacobs' story, of any other story. There's a case in Russia that George Knapp broke, where instead of them turning off the nuclear missiles, they turned them on. Right.
Wow.
And so for like, I think it was like 2 minutes, the launch control facility, the people in it thought that World War III was about to start because of some malfunction. And, then they later found out that a UFO was seen breaching the complex. And you just got to start asking yourself, and other people like Robert Hastings have said that every research facility, every nuclear base that the United States has been visited by a UFO, like at least one documented case. To me, there's just a clear message being sent, is that you're playing with fire, literally.
Tyler, I think you're absolutely right. Back to Bob and all of that, this is the part of the phenomenon that needs highlighted way more, is the messages they're trying to give to us as a species. Nuclear intent specifically. I think we go forward too much. Those of us that are aware of these circumstances, these situations, I think we take the message for granted a little. These intelligences, they're giving us a warning. I think that much is clear to make out, but I don't think we should assume that if things were to go hot, they have a solution for us as well.
Right. Like Daddy's not gonna, a lot of the UFO community think, and this tends to align, and I'm not trying to be like judgmental to this group of people, because
Right.
I do believe that I do believe that there is some very, very, very good evidence to suggest that something like the Anunnaki were absolutely 100% a thing. But the ancient alien people tend to think that if we start throwing nukes, that the alien overlords will come down and save us. Dude, don't hold your breath.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to put the well-being of everything in some unknown phenomena's hands. I mean, and you're talking about how different groups exist within this community. It's such a hard topic to, I think that's why common ground is so important in this group, because there's so much uncommon ground just due to the nature of the phenomenon, right? It's unknown. It is inherently unknown. It's unidentified. And so everyone's kind of pulling their own straw. But the more we can recognize patterns like the nuclear pattern, and we can compare that, and we can make that a cohesive narrative for these things, I think that's how we get more people on board too.
Well, the thing I don't want to happen is I don't want it to be used. And I actually give credit to Elizondo lately, or at least in his book, this is the approach he took. He said that there is a difference between hostile and indifferent. Because these UFOs, or their occupants, they could be indifferent to humanity, right? But not hostile. However, we would see that as I just don't want us to start acting like this is a threat, because that's when it gets really scary, right?
Yeah.
The threat from space, the what others have called the false flag operation, that Werner von Braun talked about, and Dr. Greer talks about. That is a scenario that is frightening, because I do think that there are. I think it's stupid to think that all advanced civilization would be good.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see any hostility yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we're still here having this conversation. If anyone was hostile to us, like, we'd be enslaved by now. They would have, took a chunk of the asteroid belt and just flipped it our way.
Yeah,
just,
with the capability of technologies like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's open up, but it'd be done quick. You know, it's
Right.
open up to imagination, but it'd be done.
But it leads you down an interesting path of like, you know, you don't look at like a battery, right? Like a car battery, right? You don't look at a car battery and then, you know, look at the negative side and go, it's bad, right? No, it completes the circuit. It brings balance.
Balance.
So we know that in our own civilization, like people think that the only way that our species advances is if we advance past you know, violence or negativity. I don't think that will ever happen. But I think if you have enough of the population advance past it, then yes, you're good, right? You know, you're always going to have those people that are bad. They're just wired differently. And I think that goes for everything. You know, there's a yin and yang. There's a balance to this all. Nuclear weapons, they're just something that scare me because, you know, we don't really get a say in it. Once they go, they go.
Yep. You know, that was even demonstrated with the ICBM field test that Russia carried out just within the week. I didn't get a notification on my phone.
Yeah.
You know?
So I actually have a clip from, I know it's Joe Rogan. People have their shit to say about Joe Rogan, but I think what he says in this clip is actually very pertinent because he's absolutely right. Like we don't realize like life would change just like that because that's like if we start, Annie Jacobson wrote a book recently. I think it became a bestseller about if a nuclear I forget what the book's called. Damn it. If anyone in the audience knows the book title, please put it in the comments. I don't want to look it up. But she details the moment that a nuclear weapon from one of our enemies, whether it be, you know, Russia, China, North Korea. I think in her example, I think she does use North Korea. I'm not, but anyway, she details the whole thing and she did a lot of extensive work and interviews, and she had found out that the United States has a policy that if a nuclear weapon is in the air, the president has like, I think it's something like 9 minutes total from launch to impact to make a decision. End the world or don't.
Or roll with the blow, right?
Or take the hit. Because once we launch one, we launch them all. We have a use it or lose it policy.
Right. Absolutely we do.
So
all the way down even the
fucking
Russians.
scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, man. The Russians, they have a dead man switch policy. You know, they have readers that if they don't get a ping back from Moscow within a certain amount of time, the computer assumes that Moscow's been taken out. Then it'll do readings for radiation and such in the surrounding area. If it pings for that as well, then it launches its own. So it's set up in such a way, no matter what, we all lose.
And you know who always loses? The civilians.
The civilians in any kind of conflict.
The civilians. Look at what's happening in Israel. Look at what's happening in the Ukraine. It's the citizens that lose. It's not the 1%ers. No. But let's
changes because the outgoing president or whoever the fuck is actually running the country has decided to do something fucking insane. Fucking insane. And we're all sitting there watching it and people are cheering it on. CNN was saying, like, finally, see what their headline was about about Biden giving Zelensky the ability to use long-range missiles. U.S. made long-range. It's not like nobody knows where they came from. It's not like nobody knows we've been. How are you allowed to do? Out like the people don't want you to be there anymore. This should be like some sort of a pause for like significant actions that could potentially start World War III. Maybe that would be a good thing that we would like to avoid from a dying former president. It's the whole thing is nuts.
I mean, look, I don't know shit about politics. I'm not
Zelensky
gonna
says
pretend
Putin
to.
is terrified. Fuck you, man. Fuck you people. You fucking people are about to start World War III.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Russia fired a missile today.
I feel
Yeah,
like
they fired an intercontinental ballistic missile for the first time ever. It's the first time one of those has ever been used.
it's insanity.
It's fucking insanity because those intercontinental ballistic missiles can have nukes on them. This one didn't, but if it does, the whole world changes, and it changes because of the military-industrial complex, and it changes because of the money that's going to Ukraine, and it changes because the outgoing president or whoever the fuck is actually running the country has decided to do something fucking insane.
Yeah, that's
Fucking
outrageous.
insane. And we're all sitting there watching it, and people are cheering it on. CNN was saying, like, finally, see what their headline was about Zelensky about Biden giving Zelensky the ability to use long-range missiles. U.S. made long-range. It's not like nobody knows where they came from. It's not like nobody knows we've been funding this. It's a proxy war. The whole thing is fucking insane. It's insane. Come to the negotiation table. Sit down. Work this out. Stop killing everybody. U.S. allows Ukraine to use long-range missiles. So what did they say? Someone had said that, like, CNN was saying that it was a good thing, which I think is how? How has the left gone so far crazy that they think it's a good thing to launch missiles?
Just
That's what's scary about life is like you don't want to pay attention to that shit. You just want to live your life. You want to just be carefree and have fun and do the thing that you're passionate about. And meanwhile, the world is burning. And
you
you're just
can't do
hoping
anything
doesn't
about it.
get
It's
to
like,
you.
at that high level, it's like there's nothing.
Well, we can. We voted Trump in, and
Yeah, but-
his idea is to stop.
I think we
Can
were
you hear me?
muted. We were muted.
Very good.
When it plays videos, it like automatically mutes us. So I don't know if anyone could hear our commentary anyway. But I agree with Joe here. I can't not agree with him. It's dude, it's insanity.
All
It's
politics
insanity.
aside, it is insanity.
Think about this. Think about this. The only thing keeping us from total nuclear holocaust is because, or it's the notion of an acronym that spells out MAD. MAD. This is fucking insane, but nobody wants to talk about it because that would mean admitting that the US is part of the problem, maybe not the solution. I think we need to fucking realize that we're flawed, we're broken.
Yeah.
And that the aliens aren't coming down to save us anytime soon. Like, in my opinion, if I was them, we haven't
I wouldn't
earned
want to touch
shit.
it. Yeah.
They're and you know what? Like, people that were standing in line with us were like, they were people like Chris Bledsoe, right? Right? You know, just and others like Robert and like I said, Danny Sheehan and then James Fox, Jesse Michaels, the guys from Yes Theory. There were so many people there that, you know, I look around and I just, you know, I really love this topic, but like at some point, like we got to separate it and be like, okay, there's real life too. Cause you know, these politicians, like, we want to have UAP hearings. We want to have this discussion in Congress. You know how that ends very quick? World War III.
Get nuked, yeah.
World War III ends our conversation really quickly.
Yeah,
Because all of a sudden, UFOs don't matter. And we're fucking teetering right now.
We are, man. Dare I say it's the closest we've been since the Cuban Missile Crisis to this kind of calamity. And it's really, you know, we saw a comment while we were watching that clip. Someone said they didn't even know this was all going on. And with the ICBM, I hear that far too much from people I'm around. It's, if this was the 60s and we had a series of events going on like this, there'd be PSAs pushed out on the radio. They'd be building those bomb shelters that we see now that are under libraries that are outdated. We think of them as a thing of the past.
Fallout shelter, yeah.
That's just that's the public's perception of where the state of things are, and that is up to our government and our media to kind of set the stage for how we should be viewing those kind of events. And right now they are just very, very inadequate. They don't want to create any sort of fear, any sort of panic. They would rather have things just march on the way they are. And that's what's going to end us up in World War III. I think once it finally starts and whoever slaps the label on it, you know, kind of like you described when we talked, whenever the label of World War III is thrown on it and then it's sold to the people like that, I think you're going to have a lot of mass panic.
It's over. I truly.
It's unfortunate because a society should have been able to see this 20 steps ahead.
Yeah, and we should be, and honestly, you know, if it takes something like a person like Donald Trump to stop this, fucking sign me up. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore.
I don't care anymore either, man. You know,
I just want I want people to stop dying. That's what I want. I want us to go, and I want us to be a civilization that works towards getting to Mars, because yes, it's the next big thing. And I don't know if you saw Neil deGrasse Tyson on Bill Maher.
Yeah, the investment.
What a
doesn't
joke.
Even get it.
What a joke. What, like, honestly, I've never wanted to slap Neil deGrasse Tyson more than now, because what he's implying by what he is saying is that the only way scientific advancement in space happens is if there's an enemy that we need to beat there. And he's telling you the dirty fucking truth. And nobody will bat an eye. Nobody will bat an eye. But Elon is not asking for venture capitalist meetings. He wants to advance the species to preserve consciousness.
Yes.
Right? He doesn't want to do it because China is going to have military bases. And by the way, how come nobody's talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson and how he just literally said, we could just leak a memo from China. It doesn't even have to be real. Mars is red. China's red. That's an easy sell. That's the most racist thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. I did not hear anything.
That's the most racist fucking thing I've ever fucking heard. But nobody bats an eye, right?
Yeah.
He said, and I quote, it doesn't need to be real. Implying that we could leak something that says China plans to have Mars moon by 2029. And then all of a sudden NASA would be like, all right, time to do our job. Okay. Right? That's the only way it happens. Apparently,
yeah. In the world of Neil, too often does he show his head to just say something so tone deaf. At least to me, he comes off as so tone deaf.
Well, once he got slapped with a little bit of a hashtag Me Too, he did whatever he needed to get out of that. And he's a sellout. He is a fucking sellout. And people compare him
like cartoon shows like Mike Tyson Mysteries. That was good. I liked him there.
I used to love Neil deGrasse Tyson. When he would do a show that would be on Rogan, I would literally drop everything to listen to it, because I was, I was fascinated by the man. People forget that he got his start. Him and the UAP thing kind of aggravates me, because he's famously he's known for his work in black holes, which when he started working on it were they hadn't been actually confirmed. They'd never been photographed. They were purely a hypothetical reality.
Right.
Right. The data spoke more for it being real, black holes, than not for being the counter. And but he says the thing about the UAP topic is, well, there's no evidence. There's no clear video. There's no, he always demands more evidence. And it's like, well, the testimony that's being given, just at the UAP hearings, right, the testimony that have been given by thousands of credible people, the videos.
Culture accounts back to at least the 40s.
Right. I mean, well, I like what Michio Kaku says is the burden of proof has been, so the burden has been shifted to the non-believer, right? And we have our evidence to say that there is something to this phenomena. It's now on the non-believer to prove that it's prosaic in nature, all of it. And it just sucks that Neil kind of took this bad turn, because he could have been. And one day we'll see a heel turn from him, and just remember who he is right now.
Absolutely.
We'll see it, because when it all comes out, he'll be like, "Yeah, I said it all along."
Plenty of interviews with you, Neil. No, it breaks my heart when I hear him speak about it. He can be so condescending on the topic, which, like you were speaking about, man. He came from working with black holes when they were just
theoretical
abnormality. They were theoretical. You're trying to account for why this is doing the thing it's doing, this part of space, and then working from there with unknowns. It's absolutely crazy to know someone that has freed their mind to such speculation like that is so quick to dismiss something that thousands of people have seen, talked about, pictures, videos.
Yeah, and we'll move on from that, but it really is a shame that he's essentially a mouthpiece. He's not an act. Like Gary Nolan will even say it. Dr. Gary Nolan, like, Neil isn't a real scientist anymore, right? He's more of a personality than a practicing scientist. Bill Nye is not even a real scientist, but he's the science guy. And those two are they're like super outspoken about UFOs and how it's a bunch of bullshit. And my response to that is, like, catch up.
Yeah.
Catch up, because you're falling behind. But it was really fun meeting you at the hearings, and I got to hear a little bit about you, or I got to meet you and your girlfriend, your amazing girlfriend, and hear about your story. And it resonated with me a bit. So maybe how did you get in this topic?
Absolutely, dude. I'd say my whole life, I was kind of open-minded to the supernatural aspect that may be of things, right? Nothing too concrete, hardcore for my whole life, really, until 2 years ago. So I'm 23 right now. So I was 21. And, the story it comes off is so simple, but the impact it left has been profound on me, Tyler. And it happened right in the town I live in. I was driving home one day with my buddy. I was in the passenger seat, and we were driving down this road. I drive at least 2 times every day, man. And we're driving down the road, and it's probably 1 a.m. at night, somewhere around there. And I'm sitting in the seat, and I just happen to look out the window. And to my right, above someone's house, maybe 30 feet above their house, is this massive black triangle. And it's sitting there, and I'm getting my buddy's attention, so he's looking at it too, and we're not trying to like steer off, but we keep going. And I noticed that on each side of the triangle, I had, like, how on a cruise ship it has like the port lights, right?
Yes, the portholes.
Yeah, the portholes. Yeah. So each side had about, I want to say 5, but it's so weird when I try to recount it too. It comes off so like hazy in a way, but so clear also. But
that's common.
Is it?
Yeah. Very.
I'm looking at it, man, and like I said, it's big too. It's about the size of the house that it's over. It's about 30 feet above it, and it's just silently hovering there. We drive past it. At this point now, brother, I got my body out the window, and I'm actually like holding onto the car door to look at it behind us. And we get probably a quarter mile on it when I see it. And I'll never forget, this is the part that sent me over the edge. This is the part that actually had me like go frantic to my buddy. Like it brought me to tears, Tyler. I saw this big black triangle, which I already knew shouldn't exist. There's no way this thing should be flying. It's not making any noise. I saw it like it was shot out of a gun, dude, go right into the sky. And I only saw, you know, how you see like the motion blur to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just saw the motion blur, the white lights go up into the heavens. And just like that, the encounter was over. Probably lasted 30 seconds altogether, but it has instilled such a childlike wonder in me that I really haven't felt since I was a young kid.
Yeah, it will do
And
that.
that was an exciting feeling. Now, the tumbling feeling that came after was nothing but fear, nonstop. What did I see? What is the capabilities that thing had? You know, this is probably only all in all a mile away from my house. So it's like, how often is it around here? How often are they around here? Why was it over someone's house? You know, what were its intentions in a residential area like this late at night? That started to freak me out.
Flying at very, very low altitude.
Very low
right?
altitude. Oh yeah. Altogether, let's see, if it's like 30 feet above the house, I mean, I want to say like 50, 60 feet altogether in the air.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking treetop level here.
Yes. Yeah, we're talking treetop level here.
And that's about where mine was as well.
Yeah.
You know, treetop level. And it like you said, comes over. I mean, mine just came right over me, didn't make a noise, but was oscillating and moving forward at the same time. So it was making, you know, circle and then kept, you know, was moving forward at a steady pace, but no noise. And it had like the three prominent what you call portholes. They didn't look like portholes to me. But it's that classic, like 3 circles make a triangle look, you know?
Okay, I got you.
But the craft was lenticular. The craft itself was lenticular, but it had these 3 circles on the bottom that made a triangle if you were to draw a triangle to each of them.
Right.
So, but yours was a black triangle. Now, I will say this about black triangle cases is those are at least in my best judgment or my best recollection, black triangle cases are the most commonly to be suspected to be human, right? Like,
it's funny you say that.
So did you feel like, because I know when I saw what I saw, the first thing that came to mind was not from here. Like this was not us.
Mm-hmm.
When you saw what you saw, what feelings did you have? I know you had fear later, but what was the connection?
So I have no reason to go off of this. I have no reason to believe this. There's no real variable. Everything I saw that night that this craft displayed was very uncharacteristic of any sort of human technology that I'm aware of, you know, but when I remember looking at it, and even now when I sit here and really ponder, I let my gut do the thinking. What did I see that night? Just something strikes me so, like, I don't know if I feel like I was being watched by an intelligence, but to me, the only intelligence I know. So I felt like I was being watched by humans from that craft. Something about it. It's a funky thing, man, because like I said, there's not one variable from the encounter that should give me this notion, but nonetheless, in my gut, I feel as if what I encountered that night was human, was some sort of reverse engineer program.
Interesting. And you're saying this, so someone asked, I put it in there, but this is in Pennsylvania, correct?
Yeah, this was in central Pennsylvania, outside of Harrisburg. The capital is a little community called Linglestown. So that's where it happened.
Now, have you asked around and see, or have you taken a look at any of the databases that are available to see if other people saw what you saw?
From what I've gone through, no one's seen it. And there's a much lesser story that I don't tell nearly as much because, you know, while the triangle kind of falls under the classification of up front in my face, the other one that I tell a lot more reluctantly is I saw this orange orb far out in the sky one night. And this was a couple months after the triangle, funny enough. and I seen this orange orb outside my house, and it was just kind of flickering around, going up and down in the middle of the night, and it was far away, and it kind of get bright, then it get dim, then get bright, then get dim, and hop around. I didn't think much of it until I had gotten on Reddit, and I was part of the UFO subreddit, and still am. And funny enough, someone had
What a
just happened
place!
what a place! Oh
Wow.
God,
My
there's
God.
people there, something great people ready to fight.
Yeah, unless you're posting anything.
Yeah, unless you're posting anything. Yeah. Oh, I love
Then
how
they're
they treat this-
vile.
I love how
They're
they treat
vile.
the people that come in for the first time and they see the Starlink and they post it. Like,
Yeah. Oh, dude, they
man,
rip them
it's
up.
crazy.
I always cringe. I'm like, oh, you're about to get
Yeah,
torn
you're
to fucking shreds.
You gotta delete that account and just get a new one, brother, because they won't give you a fighting chance here. But
Oh,
no,
yeah.
that light I saw, funny enough, someone had been on the UFO subreddit and posted pictures of what I'd seen. And so that really encouraged me to like dig deep in UFO encounters around here throughout the years, because we also have TMI. I don't know if you ever heard anything about that, the 3 Mile Island incident.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So, with nuclear
For
power,
everyone else, though, I'm glad you said that, though,
Yeah.
because for everybody else, they were thinking too much information.
Oh,
TMI.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So
No, I'm
remember,
speaking of,
yeah, we're not local to you.
Yeah. So that was the 3 Mile Island incident. That was a nuclear facility that had a bit of a meltdown. I want to say the 70s.
Holy
And
shit.
I wanted to start there and try to see if they ever had any recordings or documentation of incidents. And then I moved around to my general area. And there are incidents that go back to the 60s, at least, that I've been able to find, but nothing triangular, nothing exactly what I saw. They're all various morphologies of craft and characteristics, kind of what you get when you go across the country or even the world and you look at different cases. They're all a little different, but alike to somebody, relatively speaking.
Yeah, but there is a regional thing, like the Tic Tacs are
Right.
always seen on the West Coast, whereas the orbs are always the East Coast, right?
Okay.
There are like regional, but then there are obviously exceptions, like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like there are patterns
Okay.
that you can start to see. But someone brought it up. Did you ever think about knocking on that door of the house?
Of
that
the
was over?
house, dude,
And being like, dude, I hate to ask,
I'd
but
love
does
to.
anyone in this house get abducted?
It freaks me out, Tyler, because
Bring me there.
just-
I'll ask.
I gotta bring you. You're definitely the spokesperson for that
I'll
kind of
ask,
stuff,
yeah.
because I live right down the street from this guy, and he might even see my car because I'll spin the block from the residential area where I saw it just to like tickle that part of my brain to revisit that night again. So like it's even a possibility they see me spin around sometimes just revisiting. So I feel weird asking, but it's probably not a bad idea.
No. I mean,
No.
if you want answers,
Yeah.
right? There could be one in that house.
Yeah.
Was it stationary over the house for a good period of time?
Yeah, it never moved from the moment so we're coming up on it. I see it right outside the windshield. Then we're next to
You're
it.
positive it's not making any movement.
Positive. I mean, I saw the house's silhouette from when it like shot up. It was still over it by the time I got in the quarter half mile. It was
Okay.
still very much so just like present where it'd been.
Okay.
And I know you talked about kind of oscillating, to even do that around me. It was just as stagnant as could be, just floating there. It's kind of eerie, like like frozen.
Yeah, well, that is consistent. I mean, everything you're saying is consistent with other Black Triangle cases, right?
Right.
It lines up. And now, did you see any? I think I asked you this before, but did you see any seams, any rivets, or anything that could say one way or another?
No.
Aside from the porthole.
Aside from the porthole, I mean, you could tell that it was like a black against the sky, but outside the portholes, it was just total black and like flush with
Okay.
itself, seamless. Yeah.
So that event happened in what year?
I want to say 2022. Yeah, like December 2022.
Okay, cool. So you have this experience, and then what? Right? Because I call it the moment of conversion. And I spoke to you about this, I think, that night after the hearing. After the moment of conversion, it's like it's kind of like your reality gets broken a little bit, and you have to like kind of like piece it back together a little, and assure yourself that you're not going crazy, this and that,
Yeah.
all that kind of. So how was your moment of conversion?
My moment of conversion, I think, was probably relatively easier than those of those who see it individually. I had someone, thank God, who saw it with me, and we were kind of able to rehash out the details over and over to each other and just validate each other, because neither of us wanted to believe what we just saw, but there was no denying it. Confirmation came easy through that, and then a passion picked up right away after like the acceptance.
And then you find yourself not even 2 years later at a historic congressional hearing. So, what made you get up and get in the car and drive to DC to see these?
I wanted to see the fight, Tyler. I wanted, like I said, I wanted to be validated outside of the immediate person I saw it with. I wanted to know that I wanted to see the action taken to bring this thing to light, because truly in my heart, the effect it leaves on the individual after seeing something so out of this world, so inhuman. I mean, I think every person who's seen one, and our government keeps that information, I don't think that's right. I think you have a right to know, as an American, as a human, what you saw, to whatever capacity we know of the information. I truly think they're gatekeeping something way deeper than just technology. I think it plays into what we are fundamentally. So when I went down there, I just wanted to see the push for that. I wanted to see the legitimate push. You see it on the news, but I wanted to go shake hands. I wanted to talk to some of the people that fight the good fight. And that's exactly what I got to do, dude. And I was left nothing less than impressed by the efforts of you, by Mace, by Bob. I mean, outstanding workers, outstanding people. I got everything I wanted from that.
How would you say that the vibe was in line?
Excited, definitely kind of giddy, kind of like, what's going on here? You could tell everyone is kind of at a different point of like what this means to them. I mean, I even saw some people with their kids in line. So, there's definitely overall excitement, giddiness. There's definitely a bit of a novelty to the subject. Like, we're talking about NHIs on Capitol Hill. That will always, I think, ping someone's brain like that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you got to see me from an outside perspective, which I think is funny to think about, right? Because I always like to think about like, all right, this guy, he got to see me be me, and now I get to talk to him. It's different for me, because you got to see me like I was fucking running up and down that hallway that day, back and forth, up and down.
You were.
Like, it was just energy. The energy was just, it was through the roof.
It's funny. My girlfriend, she pointed you out while you're running up and down the hall, right? And she's like, you should talk to him. Like, he looks like he knows what's going on. I'm like, honey, I think I need like a net to catch him.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like throw over you and get you. Dude, you were everywhere. I thought you worked there. I thought you were a staffer just trying to make sure everything was going to plan. Like, there was room for people.
Others, there was multiple people who thought I was Bob's handler. Wow. Like that I was his representation, because they were like, they would say to me, because people don't know that Bob Salas, his wife, and we talk on the phone, like like we're very close. We become very close. And I'm also very close with other guests that I've had on, like Mario Woods. You know, I get to know these people's families, and that's the difference between me and other hosts of podcasts. I would say is I take the time to show that interest and to further it. So I was given a job by Bob's wife, and it was get him in that fucking room. So I did everything that I needed to because I knew I was getting in, right? Like I already had, I still have it hung up right here, the little paper. You can see it, a little part of it,
Yeah.
the paper that had my name and show on it. So I had a seat reserved for me, right? But Bob didn't. So that's why I stood in line at 4 a.m. You know, I hate to throw shade on people like Jesse Michaels, but they showed up like 20 minutes before the hearing, maybe. And, you know, it just felt like, do you remember when they came in? It was like a big deal.
Yeah.
It was like, that's when like the camera started flooding.
Yeah.
Because that's when James Fox came in. That's when, like I said, Jesse came in. Danny Sheen reemerged. Ryan Graves popped up. And it was just, that moment was very big. So I was just like, you know, for us that we were there at 4, all of us, we were all just like, it just, you know what I mean? It just was like, why didn't you guys like come for the party? Like, you know, because we had fun. We had fun in line that morning.
With yard chairs out there, lawn chairs, you know.
Yeah, man,
Dedication.
they were very serious about that list.
Yeah, and you know, that's something I should have brought up earlier when you asked about the energy in the line. I mean, you had people with 4 cups of coffee, been here hours, in a lawn chair, just kind of like, I don't even know if they're gonna like stay awake during the hearing. They're just kind of like tired looking. So, you know, just to see people go to that extent, like this was a concert, like, you know, a Guns N' Roses last tour concert, people lined up like half awake outside. That was amazing to see.
Yeah, it really was. It really, and then to watch it unfold, the hearing itself unfold, like there were moments where I was pinching like my leg, you know, because I feel like I was led down this path. And it all started in a very, very bleak place, right? You know, on my mother's deathbed, right? But I carried her into that hearing with her ashes. They were with me. So I brought her into that hearing room with me. And she, you know, she's been with me at every big stage, every big step. And it just seems like I just keep finding myself in the right place at the right time, right? Talk to this person, talk to that person, get this person to talk to this person. You know, it's just been, it seems too intelligent, you know? It doesn't seem coincidence. Like I don't believe in it anymore. There's no such thing as coincidence.
Yeah.
Me and Bob on the phone talked about what are the millions of things that had to go right to for me and him to connect so that I could get him into that meeting at that time on that day, which we didn't know that we were both going to be there, you know what I mean, until like about a week before. It was just all like the stars had to really align. I wasn't going
short of a miracle, man.
Right. I wasn't even going to the hearings until Congressman Burchett asked me to go or brought it up. And then because like for me, I was just going to stream it and do what I did for the first one. But when he invited me down, it put this spark inside of me. And it was like, no, I need to go. Like I need to do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, slowly over a couple days, then I bought the ticket, the ticket, the flight and the hotel. And then, you know, everything unfolded from there. Just, I don't know. It was almost like it was too perfect. And it went too perfect. That's why I got sick when I got home.
Yeah, dude. Right. Too excited, out in the cold. Your body doesn't know what to do. It's just so much in the extreme.
Yes, I actually have Bob Salas's scarf still.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I accidentally stole it.
Did
Yeah,
Bob want it back?
yeah, he did. He did. He does. He does.
Use his favorite scarf.
Yeah. So when we go out there in 2025, I'll be returning it to him.
Gotta give it back to him. Yeah. Oh, that's funny, dude.
But anyway, I do want to say thank you for coming on today and being a part of this. I know it wasn't like super orthodox. This is not usually how I do things like this, but I thought it'd be a fun way to kind of unveil this video and also be able to have a discussion as well about the hearings, because I haven't really talked about them since I came back. So I really do appreciate you doing this.
Tyler, I appreciate you just bringing me in. Just, just someone that just happened to be at that hearing that had a passion towards it, and that was something worth bringing onto your show to you and giving me, a platform to at least tell my story. And now I have a platform where I can look at the camera. I can say thank you, Tyler, for yielding your time. This is on the record. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Bob. I mean, everyone that pushes for this and will help me get an answer one day. I love it.
That was quite the response.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
That's why I drove down there.
And then, so you said you're coming up this way to Massachusetts, the Boston area. So I'll probably have you in studio, and we'll get to really hash out some of the details of your story. And we'll get into some real deep conversation about ancient civilizations. What could we be a seeded from an alien intelligence? Could that be our origin story? Why don't we have our origin story? What do you think our origin story is? And we'll get into all sorts of trouble.
Absolutely. That's my cup of tea right there, Bob.
Yeah, fuck yeah. All right, man. And I know you just created a Twitter. You created an X account. I still can't get used to it. Where can people find you, and where can people hang out?
It is so fresh. I have to go ahead and check the handle, right?
Oh.
So Gonzo _Duke_. That's a Hunter Thompson reference.
Yes. I do like his music. Wait, no.
That's Fear and Loathing guy.
Wait. Yeah, I'm saying there's multiple, because now I'm thinking there's another one.
Yeah. Hunter S. Thompson is how I should have said it. That's usually how they phrase his name.
I'm sorry. I just got confused. Is there a country singer with that name?
There might be.
Is there? I don't know.
We need a Jamie.
We need a young Jamie. Young Jamie, look it up. But yeah, all right. So thank you so much.
You got it, boss. Anytime, man. I love the topic. I love doing whatever I can for it. Seriously, it can be daunting for me just coming into this. I'm not really sure how to be as productive as possible pushing the agenda here, but whatever ropes you can give me to hold on to, dude, I'll hold on to them, and for life.
We'll introduce you to people, and like I said, you're gonna be helping me with I need help with assistance with cameras and all the gear and stuff like that. So we talked about it off the record. So I think people should expect to see more of you. So
awesome, brother, man.
All right, tell the lady I said hello, and
she's watching.
Have a good night and happy Thanksgiving if you do celebrate, or if not, just have a good week. All right.
You too, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. And to everyone out there in the podcast sphere, or if you're watching on YouTube or X, make sure to leave a like, share, and follow the show on any major podcast platform. Or like I said, YouTube. You can also now check out our website, which is in the description below, as well as all of our other links as well, for everything, including all of our sponsors for the show. I didn't really get to talk about BioMind tonight, but that's okay. It's been a long one. And I haven't done a live show in a while, this was really fun. So other than that, review us and subscribe and Tell your friends and family, the Grays, when they abduct you, I don't discriminate. Trust me. We'll see you on the other side, guys. Let's keep exploring the unknown.